Asshole number one. This is asshole. It would be asshole leader according to Star Wars canon.
Copy that, asshole leader.
How you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm about to take my hair. Let me put this up to the camera. That's a serenity pill.
What is
Give
that?
me a
Woosah
second
pill?
here.
A little bit of psilocybin.
No, not suicide pill. It's I'm angry, Richard. I'm a very angry man, and my blood pressure took a spike. Of course, that was all due to moving and selling the house and building a new one, all this other stuff. And it dawned on me that I don't want to live the last roughly third of my life like I lived the first 2/3, fretting, angry, pushing, struggling. And a lot of that is incumbent upon me because the world is not going to change. So I'm learning to calm down. And so I thought I'd get that today through golfing, but I should have just stayed home and play video games without going into boring details. They were like, you ever golf at all?
Yeah, I've golfed and I hate it. It's not my thing.
Yeah, it is my thing when you don't have the world's quadriplegic golf team ahead of you.
Right.
Barely, just dragging it on. I had to get back here, and so I skipped ahead of them. And I'm like, I deserve a burger.
A happy pill?
I hadn't gotten a happy pill yet. I'm getting to the story of how we got to the happy pill. This is the path to the happy pill. So I'm like, I'm going to calm down before I get on the show. So I'm in good spirits and I could be a good, nice host. And so I go to this restaurant called Red Robin, and there's no one there, including wait staff. And I'm waiting like 20 minutes to get, and I ordered some fries and a burger, and okay, fine. And nothing comes. And I'm like, this is supposed to calm me down from a sport that was supposed to calm me down. And now I'm pissed off 3 times as much. Then I go to the gas station. That's how bad it became. I went to the gas station because I knew the food is already made. It's shit. I need something in my stomach. I'm going to murder little puppies and children here pretty soon. And I get in there, and there's a line. That's fine. There's lines. I get that. And there's 2 checkout people. And in front of the 2 checkout people are 3 fat middle-aged women. And then there's a line of guys waiting for these.
Now, Aaron, we must accept their obesity.
No, we won't. No. So I get to the back of the line, and the guy in front of me, who is also not an Adonis, he stinks. He literally stinks. Like he didn't use deodorant or he didn't shower a bit. And now I know, is it society or me? Do I have unrealistic expectations to be seated and have my order taken in 20 minutes? Do I have realistic expectations that it shouldn't take you 10 minutes with 2 guys to make one, what is it, link or hole? And should I expect society not to stink? And apparently these are too high standards for me to expect in the real world. And so now I'm faced with this angering paradox, this problem, catch-22, where holy shit, it can't be me. It's not me. These are not delusional expectations and standards, but that's what society is. And so now I'm looking like I get to deal with this for the rest of my life. Slow, fat, ugly, stinky people who are just not going to let me operate at this. So that's where this is called a serenity pill. Girls in their, what do they call it? doTERRA is the company. They're into this. It's like astrology. There's no science behind it whatsoever, although occasionally they guess it right. Essential oils. This trend with women?
Yeah.
The GF is, she likes this stuff. She gets it. And some of it works, some of it doesn't. So I'm taking a serenity pill.
And what is it exactly? Like, what are you taking?
Who cares? It could be a placebo effect.
It's a sugar pill then, as well.
I know.
It's a birth control pill because it's that time of the month or something. You're going to start ovulating next week.
God almighty. Well, we didn't bring you on here to hear me rant. It's good to see you here. You got back from your rally?
Yeah, it was good. It was an awesome time. I kind of unplugged from work for a bit, so it was good.
Good. Yeah, no, you need to do that to recharge and get back. Oh, speaking of getting back to work,
we're live, right?
Yeah, we're live. Yeah,
okay.
I don't do the hey, what's going on? We got to wait till the hard 3 we get, and then people tune in. But related to work, this is the last live stream I'm going to do through Google Hangout because they're ending it like tomorrow or something.
Yeah, yeah, you're gonna have to get something called Streamlabs, is what I heard. I have to figure it out still.
I got it, but then you need something else to run on top of it.
OBS?
Is Streamlabs also? I thought Streamlabs was OBS.
I don't know. I have to figure it out. I really don't know how it works. I did my last broadcast yesterday and before the train wreck without it, so we'll see.
Yeah. No, there's this thing called Zoom that you can run on top of YouTube.
Oh, I have Zoom, so
You
I
got
can
Zoom?
use Zoom with Streamlabs.
Do you? Well, not with Streamlabs. I think Zoom is kind of the Streamlabs thing that you run on top of a platform, internet site like Twitter, not Twitter, Twitch or BitChute or what. I don't know. Right now,
We sound like a couple of Muppets talking about something we have no clue about.
no,
right now.
we are. We're Gen X, and right now there's some millennial kid or Gen Z are like, oh, these old timers, they don't know how to do this thing, and it is going to be a 4-hour fucking project. Because I looked into it last night, and the closest, if you already got, do you have the pro plan or do you got the base?
I don't know, but I'll get it. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, I think that's the easiest.
I'll do what I gotta do.
Yeah, because then it can. I think it runs on top of YouTube, but then you can still take donations or super chats, and you can have multiple people on. So
Sweet.
Yeah, but it's a project. I too am taking 2 weeks off after this from live streaming. I'm just gonna do the upload.
So where did you move to, by the way? You said you packed up and moved?
Yeah, I got a offer on my house, cash. I think the market is kind of peaking. Not that it's gonna crash, but I think it's gonna stagnate. And the town I was in, I think it has seen its day. Again, it's not going to tank or anything, but I think it has seen its day. And I just want to get out of Minnesota. So I had an offer. Now I got a war chest. I'm building a house in South Dakota. And
why are you staying in the snow? What is wrong with you?
Because I have my girlfriend here.
So what? Whatever. I mean, there's a line in the sand here in Canada where we can't live further south than that unless Donald Trump lets us.
Right.
But why would you stay in the snow is what I am confused about.
I do not stay in the snow. I go down to the Southern Command in Vegas where I have an arrangement where I keep this guy's house up and I spend winter down there. And then the GF flies in, once every week or so or whatever. I'll fly back to say hi to the nieces and whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I don't stay here. I haven't been here for winter in about 5 years.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So but yeah, well, you were at Baja. You ever been to Puerto Peñasco, Rocky Point?
Where's that?
Mexico, over on that Gulf of Cortez, or
no, but I'm organizing speaking of cars, and this is kind of what we were going to kick into. I'm actually organizing a Baja Mastermind in February. Just getting all the details kind of hashed out before I announce it, but going to be doing some off-road racing down there. It's a $9,000 trip. You're racing the challenge race cars that they use in the Baja 1000 in the off season. Guided tour, about 600 miles off-road. It's going to be awesome.
That's cool. What's it called? A Bastarine?
If you look up, actually, if you search on my channel, Entrepreneurs in Cars, and then after that put Baja, B-A-J-A, you'll see the video that it was very, very poorly done vlog of my last trip. So it'll be something along that line.
Okay. I didn't know if there was an official term for it. So
yes, sir.
Anyway, well, I don't want to take too much of your time, but I do want to tap into that brain of yours because you and I, we have a philosophical difference when it comes to vehicles. I drive the crappiest, cheapest thing I can find and keep on the road safely. You drive slightly nicer cars than that. And since cars are so integral, especially to young men, I wanted to get your take on it because you are about the only guy I can say legitimately can own a luxury car, actually owns his luxury cars. Because when I worked in banking, I could see it. I only knew 2 people that actually owned it. Everybody else was leasing. Everybody else was renting or borrowing. And none of them were actually rich or quote unquote could afford it. And then when you look at these young boys today, you're naturally gravitated towards sports cars because they're fun. They're awesome. It's cool. It's also, how do you get the girls? Because you think that you buy a sports car and then the girls. And more personal to me, I've tried to warn, especially nowadays, the number one debt for millennials is no longer student loans, but car loans. And I would say because ever so roughly, colleges scam women out of their money with worthless degrees and going into debt. And I would say, okay, boys, maybe we major in something a little bit more wiser, and we are not as susceptible to the student loan vultures. But boy, those auto lending companies, they're right there, and men will go just into much debt or even more to have a car that they frankly can't afford. And like women with college degrees, men with cars they can't afford, they cripple their finances in the future. So since you have done this, you do it right. I want to tap your brain and get some wisdom on the do's and don'ts of owning sports cars.
Well, I've always paid cash for my cars, pretty much, with the exception of one car that I leased through my company because I wrapped the whole thing kind of like an advertisement.
Okay.
So we had, call to action on it with a website number and all that sort of stuff. And I figured that would work. But like I've always paid for what I can afford. And I remember sitting at the bus stop at 15 years old, taking the bus to a shitty minimum wage job, and along the road would come a nice Corvette or a IROC Z convertible. And that'll really date me.
Was this back in the hair days by chance? Or?
Yeah. I had wonderful hair back then too. And like each one of those cars that I admired and really loved to own and want to drive, I ended up getting at some point. And it's like at the time, it seemed like the IROC Z convertible was like buying a Lamborghini. And then, sure enough, at some point you get in a, exotic car and the engine's in the middle and it's got 10 cylinders and it makes all the cool sounds. It's not that hard, actually. I mean, if you just put your mind to it and you do the work, you can go and get whatever the hell you want. It's just, you got to be smart about it. I mean, I always figure that if you're spending less than 10%, probably around 5% of your net worth on toys, like a depreciating asset, like it's not even an asset, but a depreciating toy like a car, you're not doing too bad if you're spending 5% of your money on something like that. So, you got a couple $1,000,000 and you spend $100,000 in change on a nice car, you're doing it right.
Right. And what I saw is people trying to maintain an image. And what I get from you, and this is why I say legitimately, is what obviously having fun, sports cars, the looks, the driving, and getting the girls and all that. But you seem to like it as this is your hobby. This would be your passion. I hate to use that word, but and every guy's allowed to have one or two, but you're in it beyond looks or anything like that. I presume you have some kind of attachment beyond, oh, this is a cool car, look how much of a badass I am.
I think I like cars the way that you like motorcycles and not spending money on dumb shit.
Okay.
Although I don't spend money on cars as dumb shit as some guys do. Like some guys live car poor, right? Where they'll go and lease now for 84 months with easy biweekly payments of $82. And you too can drive something with a Lexus badge on the back and girls will like you while you live in your mom's basement. Because there's lots of that goes on. And, it should just facilitate what you're doing and not just get you from point A to point B, but have some fun. Like we had a lot of fun on that rally, and I got exposed to people that were, really, really good people that have done some great shit with their lives. Very entertaining. A lot of entertaining people in that group as well. There was, if you're a car guy, the guys from Daily Driven Exotics were on that rally, Damon and Dave, and they're very different in person. They're like you and I talking right now, but on camera with 2 million subscribers on their channel, they got entertainment mode going on. And it's interesting how they run that entire exotic car channel. It's 6 or 7 cars worth a few $100,000 each. And they just haul in the eyeballs. Boys, and I'm saying boys instead of men, but boys love them because every time we went to a Cars and Coffee meet, there was hundreds. It was like flies on shit, just sucked into them, and just filming it, broadcasting it, Snapchatting it, Instagram it, whatever it was. It's just bizarre. It's just bonkers to me.
Yeah. Well, it's like the Ty Lopez thing where it's like, okay, I'm going to rent a Lambo. And I hate this. It is that formulaic. It is that simple, especially young. Again, why I want to have this conversation is, hey, hot chick, hot car, you'll get the under 25s like that.
Yeah.
And then you could spew the most out. Not that say these guys were, they're doing the thing for it, but more of like a Ty Lopez or, some guy with a yacht in the background.
Well, the formula works. Lamborghinis draw eyeballs, right? Anytime you go to a car meet, the Lamborghinis will have most of the thoughts standing in front of it, taking their photographs so they can post to Instagram, to signal to the world, look at me, sort of thing. They do draw eyeballs, and they're not that expensive. There was a guy on the rally that was a firefighter that had a Lamborghini. There was another guy that was a police officer that had a Lambo, because you can buy them for $75,000 now. Nice.
Really?
Gallardo. Oh yeah.
Like used or not? I remember that. Used. that was super. Okay. Used. Okay.
Yeah. Like even the R8, like I've seen R8s for sale now. If you get a higher mileage one, that's one of the earlier production models, you can get them for $75,000.
Okay. Well, help me understand, because I thought Lambos R8s. Is there an R10? I recall there being. Is there an R10?
There's an R8 with a V10 in it. Yeah,
A
that's the one that I
V10.
have.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I knew Corvette, Mercedes, Lamborghini, some fancy, or not Lamborghini, BMW. Oh, what else? Some fancy SUVs. But then there was the exotic cars, I guess is the correct term. Your Ferraris, your Lamborghinis, and all that. There is a difference in that class, right?
A slight difference. I mean, when you get over 100 grand, you can get into a nice mid-engine exotic car that signals a certain degree of wealth. I think the next tier would be over half mil to get into something that's very high end, like a
What's that? I
V12
didn't. I
Lamb.
didn't know. There's another level beyond. What are those?
Yeah, I would say there's three tiers. I mean, you'd probably start off with like the 100,000 to 500,000, which is where I play right now. Then you get the half mil up to a mil, which is when you get into like things like V12 Lambos and V12 Ferraris, McLaren 720S and stuff like that. And then over a mil, you're getting into hypercars, right? Like you're getting into stuff that's worth 5 million, 10 million, $20 million.
So like the Saudi prince kid is bored with his billions and he makes a car out of pure platinum. What's that?
Yeah, platinum, and then he puts like diamond encrusted Swarovski crystals all over it or something like that.
Okay.
Something
These
like
are being rolled off the assembly line.
Yeah, these guys have more money than God. They don't know what to do with it, so they just buy cars and they stick diamonds on them.
What speak of the gals standing by the Lamborghini, does that happen? I know it happens, but in your life, day-to-day driving with Rachel, which is the name of Rich's car, if you didn't know, which is an R8 Audi, and any previous cars that you hit, does it get the girls? Do girls like?
No.
Did you notice a change in behavior?
Like cars like that get guys. Anytime you go to a gas station or you get out of the car, it's always dudes that approach you. Love your car, or if they recognize me from the channel, watch your shit, sort of thing like that. They don't get girls. Nice cars don't get girls approaching you. A lot of guys will think, well, if I buy a nice car, girls will just approach me and want to jump my bones and get naked with me.
Yeah, it happens all the time, right?
No, yeah, it never happens. It's like they're like sausage magnets, basically. What it signals to women is that you're successful and that you've done the work. So it triggers their hypergamous nature, right? And they're like, oh, that guy over there, I think I would go out with, but they'll never approach you. It's guys that will come up to you and want to talk to you about your car.
Right. But did it make it easier? Like you pull up in a bar or a nightclub and then you go talk to the girl in the grocery aisle or whatever.
It doesn't make any difference what key you've got in your pocket when you're in the nightclub. No.
Okay. I didn't even
know
that
for the confidence. Except for the confidence.
I didn't even know that was a thing until I was in my late 20s. Yeah, late 20s. I had a buddy, met him in tango class of all things, and he was this really good looking guy, full gray mane of hair. Looked like the world's most interesting man. Lived over on Lake Minnetonka, which is the fancy lake out here. And he would tell me that he'd do that. He would throw the Beamer keys or the Mercedes keys. And I remember going to a bar. It's called Redstone. It's still out here. We'd all mock and ridicule it because that's where the divorced baby boomer single people would go. And I kind of like, really? And then I went there with one time, not shitting you. Every guy had their freaking basic bitch Beamer keys, Mercedes keys. Mm-hmm. I was like, does this work? Does it really work? I don't know.
I think it works in your head as a guy, but I mean, at the end of the day, a Lamborghini key is exactly the same as a Volkswagen key. It looks the same. It's just the badge that they put on it because it's the same company.
Wait, the Volkswagen bought Lamborghini?
Volkswagen owns Lamborghini, Porsche, Audi, and I believe Ducati as well, if I'm not mistaken.
So Lamborghini ain't Italian no more?
There is Germans on it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the design is still Lamborghini, but I think pretty much all of the mechanical stuff is all done by the Germans, which is why you get air conditioning that works now in a Lamborghini. Whereas before it was like a mouse coughing on you.
Yeah, I remember this is going back to the 80s, and it was you couldn't even take them on roads unless the roads were they were very finicky cars.
They're very fragile. I mean, they're a lot less fragile now. Yeah.
Okay, because then the Germans, and it wasn't mass produced. I mean, weren't they all handmade at one time?
Yeah.
Okay, so then the Germans come in, and did that lower the price? Because that surprises me. You can get into a used Lambo for $75,000 now.
Yeah, I think it lowered the price significantly because you know, you've got mass production in the sense where you can use the same parts on a Lambo, on an Audi R8. It's basically the
Oh,
same
that's
car. It
right.
just looks
Yeah.
different.
Okay.
Like under my car, when I had to get a new starter motor for it, last year the starter failed, so I drop it off to the shop. The guy's like, "Well, we can order you a new one from Germany, and it's got to come via Italy, blah blah blah, and it's $1,600, blah blah blah." And then he says, "But we got a shop in Toronto that rebuilds solenoids for Volkswagens." He goes, "It's the same part number. We can get it done for $80." Right.
Oh,
So I
okay.
mean, like the
Boom. Yeah.
cost of ownership comes down dramatically.
And that was another thing I remember is if you had a part, again, this is 20 years ago, not that I would own one, but it had to come from Italy, and it would cost gobs of money, and you'd have to have the right type of mechanic. So now I presume not only parts, but maintenance must be cheaper too, because
Much, yeah.
Volkswagen, that's common as well, right?
Yeah, there's still some stupid car designs where you got to take the engine out of the car to change something like an air compressor pump for the AC or something like that. But they're a lot more maintenance friendly now.
Okay, so this may not be out of a lot of guys' reach then. I thought this was astronomical, and you must
No,
but you said if you're making millions and it's 5 to 10% your income, it's possible. Not cheap by any standards, but you play your cards right. And if this is your passion and your hobby, and you don't have any other super expensive things like horses or racing the darn cars or whatever, this could be within the range of men today if they are successful and don't mess up.
average, and when I say average, I mean I'm talking like a firefighter or a police officer here can
Mhm.
own and operate a Lamborghini and basically daily drive it if they want to.
Wow. So for those 2 weeks of nice weather you guys have up in Canada, they can put on a couple hundred miles.
Yeah, it's more like 3.5.
Out of curiosity, you got like when you were young, did you drive a piece of crap car? I mean, did you just have like some like the standard 17-year-old experience of like
Yeah,
it's something?
my first car that I drove cost me $550, and it was I think a 1984 Chevette.
Oh my God.
And I beat the crap out of that, man. I drove that thing everywhere. It cost, and I sold it for a profit too. I remember I sold it to some priest or some guy that did sermons, some man of God, and he sent me a letter in the mail afterwards. And I thought when I got the letter in the mail, I'm like, oh shit, he's pissed because the car
It
broke or
broke
something.
down or
But it
whatever.
was
Yeah.
like a letter praising me and God's word of what a great person I am for selling him the car. And here I am thinking, shit, I made $200 on that. The guy loves me.
My first car was a 78 Dodge, old cop car, and I think I bought it for 50 bucks. And it didn't even have an oil cap, and we just had to get the darn thing running. I remember selling it for $200, and I
Nice.
couldn't I couldn't believe, and I don't know how long it ran after that. But
Yeah.
well, what about you got a grocery getter then? I mean, you're not picking up groceries in Rachel, are you?
No, I got an S5. I got a 2018 Audi S5, which is like you'll see it in my videos. It's the one with the back seats. The
Okay.
one without the back seats is the R8, and that's pretty much what I drive daily. But
Yeah.
I think what I'll probably end up doing is getting a pickup truck because I want to get a boat, so I need something to tow the boat with.
Okay, so that's an S. I'm just looking up an S5 because I don't
Yeah,
know.
look up 2018 Audi S5. It's a coupe. It's a two-door version.
Nice sedan, right?
It's a two-door coupe. It's a kind of like a little sporty car.
Okay. Oh,
I
that
call
is.
it sporty. I mean, it's got 354 horsepower, I think, but it's it's pretty rapid.
Mhm. Have
I
you
like.
ever owned a truck before?
Yeah, I had two Forerunners at one point. Yeah, Forerunners. Yeah,
Like a pickup truck, or was it a? Did it have a
Forerunner.
cab?
The Toyota Forerunner. The
Oh, yeah,
SUV.
oh yeah. Wait. Oh no. I mean a truck with a truck bed and everything.
No, I've never had a pickup truck.
Oh, you're gonna love it, man. You're gonna love it when you get a truck. Like I don't know how I lasted so long without having a truck. They are so practical.
You drive an
And
old pickup truck?
oh
You
yeah,
got-
I have a 2003 Chevy Silverado. I mean, it's no Rachel, but it's pretty close. Um,
Yeah, I'm thinking Raptor. Like the
See,
off-road.
you that wait, okay. Can you own a piece of shit? Like, or does every car have to be like? Can you just have a junker in your current fleet, or would it just not match?
You know what the problem with junkers I find is they always break down.
Not, I've found them pretty. I got a pretty sweet way to find low. You find low mileage cars. You can find them and they're 10, 12 years old, but they're still low mileage. You pay 5, 6 grand, and then you do some basic maintenance. Now I got it. Now I keep in mind I got a guy who's a mechanic. He kind of will okay, this,
Yeah,
that.
yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I just
then
I just can't see myself driving a 2003 piece of shit. I mean, I can afford a Raptor. Why not just buy the Raptor?
Right, but I'm wondering if you could. Yeah, see, you probably couldn't because you'd have the really good looking car, the really good nice, and then you have your piece of shit,
I
whatever.
I contemplated buying my brother's Honda Accord. He's got a 2007 Honda Accord. It's got like 350,000 kilometers on it. It's a manual.
Hmm.
Really nice looking car. He kept it in really good shape. He's like the original owner of the car, and he wants to get rid of it. And I thought, maybe I'll just drive this just to drive a piece of shit. And I'm like, no, no, I'm not going to do that.
Well, does society treat you any different then? I know the girls, they don't care what's on the keychain then. But I mean, I know there probably is a difference. You pull up in a Ferrari and guys come out and look, but I mean, oh, hello, sir. Welcome to the Hilton. May we upgrade your suite or anything like that?
Well, I mean, you pull up in an R8 when there's a guy there with an $800,000 V12 Lamborghini SVJ.
Hmm.
They look at you like your car's a fucking K car, right? It's like, get this. Iron Man's car is no longer good enough. We've got this spaceship looking thing over here, sir. So move along while we all stand around this 800 grand Lamborghini sort of thing. So there's tiers and everything.
Right, but I presume that would be at a sports or a sports car show or your rally that you did. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
unless R8s are very common in Canada, I'm imagining you're pulling. I mean, you run your errands with the S5. What do you take Rachel out for? Just enjoyment drives? Take your kids out or what?
Um, well, I took my daughter out to supercar superjet rally on Sunday. She's not really into cars, but she kind of enjoyed all the excitement.
Mm.
I don't drive it that often because it's not super practical, right? I just kind of leave the top down. It sits in the garage, and that's it. I maybe take it out whenever I feel like it. I don't drive it to the office just because I don't see the point. I use it for some filming in the car, to
Mm.
just kind of tell stories or do videos. But it's just a toy. It's just a fun thing to drive. Like you ever look at your bike and you're like, "Fuck it, I'm just going to take it out for a rip."
Yeah, well, every once, yeah, the little ride here and there.
Yeah, it's the same thing with a car. It's like a little ride here and there. Let's go get some ice cream. Let's take it for a quick run to get something small. Doesn't have a big trunk, right?
Yeah. What then if you because now I'm my vehicles will last because I won't lie. We do have a little sports car. I won't say what it is, but it's a little sports car. Had it for 10 years. It's only got 52,000. We take it out very sparingly. So, and I plan on keeping this car until I'm dead
Well,
because
what is a little sports car? Tell us more.
I'm not saying anything because I don't want people finding out and we're gonna tear up his tires. It's the one nice little luxury that I have. It's not even mine.
Okay. Do me a favor because now I'm
What?
curious. There's a group chat there on the right. Just type it in there because nobody can
I'm
see it.
not
I
gonna
won't say
type
anything.
no. What? Feed it to the animals? What? Go
No,
to the
no,
zoo? There,
no,
there.
no. The private group
Oh, the
chat on the
private
right
chat.
of the
All right, hang
hangout,
on,
right
hang
over
on.
there. Just tell
Don't
me what
slip.
it is.
Don't say what it is.
I won't slip. I'm just curious. Now you got my curiosity peak. I want to see what it is. It better not be a Mazda Miata.
Oh God, you're gonna hate it.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
That I'm not kidding, Rich. When that came out, I'm like, that is the car I freaking want. That is the car, and I picked it up for a song. But it ain't no race car, but I
Well, if
love
you
I love
ever
that car.
if you ever come my way, I'll throw you the keys to my car because I want you to drive it just to see what something with a lot of cylinders
Oh,
sounds and feels
I
like.
I rented a Ferrari out in Vegas one time, and it was fun. It was fun.
Was
Not
the
comfy.
juice worth the squeeze though? Did you find the cost of the rental was worth the enjoyment of having it?
Yes, which is something that I would recommend to any young man listening. Because it's kind of that thing. Oh, you think you want it, and then you drive it, dude. I could not wait to get back into my 2003 Chevy Silverado simply because the seats were comfy. And the other thing now is the paddle shifters. Um, drives me nuts because there's no
Yeah.
clutch, and I'm sure it's something you adapt to. But I'm like, what the fuck is this paddle? I got to listen to the engine, and I'm like, just give me a damn clutch and a stick.
Well, that's
And
why I got the R8 because it's one of the last exotics you can get with a manual, right?
I don't know. See, I know
That's the thing.
nothing about exotics.
Most of them are the automated manuals. They're either automatic transmissions or they're semi-automatic manuals, right? So
Mhm.
they just don't have the clutch pedal. But I'll tell you this, I wouldn't do another rally with a manual. Going through customs in the tunnel to get to the States, that was like an hour sitting in a tunnel in first gear, clutching the thing the whole time.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Accidents on the interstates, forget it, man. I would not do another rally with a manual transmission car when there's a lot of stop and go scenarios.
Yeah. No, the one we had, you could switch between speed and automatic. And I tried the paddle shit and I just switched to automatic, which I know is
Yeah,
a pussy move, but I took it out. And I recommend every man should at least rent a fancy sports car. We had it for 3 days and it was all right, but rent it for at least two, drive it
yeah,
around. And it's one of those things where you think, oh, all I want is a girl with big tits. Then you get a girl with big tits and you find out, wow, she's a crazy psycho bitch. And the thing with the Ferrari that we rented, loud as hell. The engine's right there. It was making all these noises, and I'm like, dude, it's making some noise. Like, oh no, that's normal. It does that. I'm like, it sounds like it's farting and throwing up, and it's like a little 2-year-old that caught a disease at daycare. And then the seat was just horrendously uncomfortable.
yeah.
Horrendously uncomfortable.
They're
So
not practical. It's like, it's like when you go out and you see that hot Italian chick in the high heels and the pumps and the bras and the underwear and the hair and the makeup and la 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 la. It's all pomp and circumstance, right? They
yep.
don't do anything different than any other car you've got. It gets you from point A to point B, but it has a little more theater.
Mm-hmm. Well, what about the R8 and the Audis? I mean, those, I have a buddy who does have an Audi and they're very comfy. I would say they're more luxury rather than exotic. Yours, I'd imagine, is comfortable to drive and it's
No,
not loud.
no, it's very loud and it's not very comfortable.
Oh, okay. It truly is a toy then.
Yeah.
Well, let me go. We've hit a couple of the questions here, and I do want to hit on some key ones, not to be so methodic. Dun, 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 dun. Da, da, da. Oh, let's talk about culture. I know you like it as a toy, but there is a culture. You just went on a rally. Is that another reason, or a reason unto itself beyond? Oh, it's fancy and you think it's going to get the girls or something like that. Is that something that you also got into car culture for, or is it simply because you enjoy the toy?
I think it's both. I think that when you've done it for a while, you start to realize that these people that have some of these toys have really done some impressive things. And, I always say you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So, I mean, you spend time with good people that have done some awesome shit. You're going to hear some stories. You're going to run into experiences. You're going to have access to things that you would normally have access to. I mean, a lot of the guys that went on the rally are self-made multimillionaires that have very, very nice cars. Like, you wouldn't know them if you saw them sitting in an Applebee's. You'd be like, that guy just looks like an average Joe.
Right.
But they'll go out in the parking lot and they'll open up the doors that go up in the air in a $500,000 McLaren, right? So there's a culture to it, yeah, and it goes beyond the basic stuff that I was indoctrinated into when I was a kid. Where, I mean, like, I remember being 18 years old and we'd go out to Cayuga, for example, which is a drag strip that we have just kind of west from where I live. It's about an hour and a half, 2 hours away. And we'd camp and we'd build a campfire and it would be like the Ford versus Chevy guys. And I was always the Chevy guy and my friends were the Ford guys. And it would be like, you just go at each other all night, just drinking, just shooting the shit about cars. What does Ford stand for? Found on road dead. Haha, you're a loser. Shoot. You just go at each other all night long, right?
Well, did you ever race though?
Oh yeah, I've done lots of racing.
Oh, okay. No, but I mean, when you were a kid, did you ever pit the Chevy versus the Ford?
Oh yeah, lots of drag racing, a lot of motorcycle racing. I did a lot of car stuff up until about 18, 19, and then I realized that motorcycles were way cheaper, better on gas, and way faster.
Yeah.
And then I got into the crotch rockets and I rode those up until about 30. And then from 30, I kind of switched back into cars and got more into the convertibles, more of the exotic stuff.
Did switching out a motorcycle, was that because you had kids or anything, or just you lost the flair?
Just my body got old and cramped and shit. And I found when you're accelerating hard on a motorcycle, you're like, my hips would get cramped. And I figured also at some point my number would come up. Like, I saw friends starting to die or get into accidents. And you do some crazy shit on motorcycles and they're so fast, people don't even see them coming.
Yeah. Well, you're talking the crotch rockets. You ever ride cruisers at all?
I've ridden a few cruisers and I like them. I was actually thinking about getting a cruiser this year. It's just I don't have any room in my garage for it. I got 2 cars in there and I don't really have room for a cruiser.
Well, yeah, and then plus you have that Chevy 2003 Silverado. But
yeah.
Have you driven the Raptor package on the F-150?
Yeah, I've driven the new Raptor, which I like. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I got a buddy who's interested in those Raptors, and as a truck driver, it's a slight step up. It's So weirdest thing, you're like in a pickup truck, you're like, what do I need this engine for? And then you're like, oh yeah, I guess I
I
kind of
like
do
it.
want
Yeah.
this engine. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. It's a big machine, and you know, from a cost perspective, since I know that you're conscious about it, they don't really depreciate that badly. Raptors hold their value really, really well. The older V8 ones do anyway. Like the new ones we'll see over time, but it seems like they hold their value pretty good too. So you can pile miles into them, and you're not going to lose your shirt on it in 10 years, and it'll be worth nothing.
Well, that's another question I got because of the low mileage on my piece of shit convertible that I like very much. Do you trade in your cars regularly, or I mean, how long are you going to hold Rachel, or have you had Rachel for 5 years and you hold her until she reaches a certain mileage?
I think this is the third year, and I'm starting to get bored of it. So I usually start to get bored within about 2 to 3 years.
So it's more you're bored with the car and then you get rid of it. It's not like this is the car I want. It's just kind of like I've had my fun. You trade in, get something new.
Yeah, there's always like a shiny silver ball out there. You're like, oh, look at that new car. That looks nice. I think I like that.
And I'd imagine it's kind of like housing as well. If you pick the right type of car, you maintain it, you keep it in shape, you can roll. I mean, it still holds some value that you could then roll over to purchase another car. So once you're in and you maintain your original investment, yes, there's going to be some depreciation, but then you can parlay that down the road and your hobby is not quite as expensive.
Yeah, it depends on the car. Some of them hold their value nicely. Like there's a lot like I think Porsche and Ferrari have figured out how to build cars that hold their value and appreciate. But to get into those, you need to own, like for them to see, they have to offer you the car to buy it. And for them to, yeah,
What?
yeah, as funny as that sounds, they actually have to invite you to buy the car. Or you may not have the allocation to buy one if you haven't previously owned one of their fancy cars before.
So, all right, there was a wrestler actor. I think was it John Cena?
Senna, yeah, yeah. And he bought the Ford GT,
Is
correct.
that is it one of those deals?
Yeah, yeah. So like I applied to buy that Ford GT when they announced it as well. Like the way that Ford did it, it was pretty clever with their marketing team was they forced you to make a video that you had to submit to them as to why you're deserving of that vehicle.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, like when you got the final stats on it, it wasn't that fucking great. Like a McLaren costing $200,000 less would blow it off the track.
Right.
But they were clever about it, and a lot of people put out, like if you go to YouTube right now and you type in Ford GT application video, you'll see pages of these videos that people made trying to get an allocation. So he got one. When he got it, he found out he was too big for the car. I mean, he's a wrestler, right? He found out he was too big for the cockpit, and he put it up for sale. And from what I understand, I think Ford is suing him for selling the car. Like he bought the car, he owns it, and Ford is suing him for selling the car for breaching the contract because you're not allowed to sell it.
Right. Well, that's what I'm trying to understand is the economics behind. I'm sure there's some kind of marketing angle or marketing strategy
It's all
here.
marketing angle. It's all for getting eyeballs on their product.
Right. And that's Ford's submit your video type of thing. But with Porsche, I'm sorry, Volkswagen saying if you want to buy this Ferrari, you want to buy this Porsche, we have to give you permission.
Correct. No,
Is
you have
that
to be invited. You have to be invited to buy it. So, like a Ferrari collector, for example, to put it in perspective, we went to this guy's house. I can't remember his name, but he's a mesothelial, anyway, asbestos lawyer. You know what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
These guys in St. Louis. So one of the places that we stopped at, and it was a public event, so this is no secret or anything like that. We got invited to his house. He's got a $13 million mansion, and he had a Ferrari collection. And a lot of the cars that he had in the collection, probably had about 30 cars. A lot of the cars he had in the collection, you couldn't go to a Ferrari dealership and buy. You had to previously own their other high-end supercars to be invited to buy those. The good news is they all appreciated in value, the ones that he's bought. So if you bought a Ferrari, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called a Pista or an Aperta or something like that. It might have cost $400,000 new. You can't buy them for less than 800, 900 grand on the market right now, right? So he would have doubled his money on that car. And he's done that multiple times on all the other cars as well. So like there is a market to make money off these if you play your cards right.
But right, but you need to have played your cards right and had some money in the past. I'm just trying to figure out the angle. It's like they're they're trying to keep the brand name up and the prestige, and not everyone can own this. And
Yeah.
they're not going to sell I'm assuming they're limited production, so they only go to
Limited, correct.
collectors,
Yeah.
right? And then
But I mean,
since it's
there's even cars that aren't limited production, like Deadmau5. I can't remember his name, Joel something or another, but that artist, the DJ Deadmau5, the guy that wears a big mouse head when he does his DJ.
Even though I go to Vegas regularly, I don't pay attention to who the spinny record people are that make
So
the
some
electrical
people
music.
watching right now know who Deadmau5 is. He bought a Ferrari 458 and he put a wrap on it and he called it the Ferrari. Okay, and he had that stupid cat. You remember that cat video on YouTube with the rainbow trail behind him with the really shitty resolution?
No.
Anyway,
Wait, hang on. He put a wrap around it, like saran? What do you mean wrap?
no, like a car wrap, like a vinyl wrap. This is what a lot of these guys do. And he put a wrap on it with the cat on it, and he called it the Ferrari. And Ferrari apparently sued him and prevented him from buying any more of their cars in the future because they weren't satisfied with the way he treated the car that he bought and owned. So he basically raised a middle finger to them. He said, "You guys can pound sand. I'm buying McLarens now."
Okay. It reminds me of some bag I was listening to NPR Money Planet. They had something about a bag that women had to be, you couldn't just walk into a store. You had to be invited or someone had to inform you that one was for sale.
Well,
And
that's how they create the exclusivity, right? In and around it. Nyan Cat is what it was called. I'm just looking at the chat here because I figured somebody would know what it was called.
I'm so out of tune with pop culture.
Everybody's trying to take a guess at what your convertible is here in the chat.
They'll never. Richard doesn't like it. That's all you need to know.
It's a terrible choice. That's just my opinion.
Look, I'm not racing. I enjoy it. It's not even. It is underpowered. I'll tell you that it is underpowered, and I may put like cold air intake or put a turbo on it. But I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going through the questions that I have here. I just want to be thorough. Cool. Yeah, no, those are all the questions I had. I was just kind of curious about the only thing I would say, because I want to take the financial angle to this and help us because we got a younger audience and a lot of young guys don't have the money for cars. Give us any financial advice on how to get into a car, things you should absolutely avoid. I like your rule of, if you're making $1 million, 5% of your money is okay. But let's say you're talking to a young man fresh out of college. He gets a $60,000 a year offer for his engineering degree and he's doing pretty well. How, if he really wants to get it, should he really want to get into cars? Is there something they should worry about not getting into the car? Some way to tell whether it's for you or not?
Well, I think you should fill your cup and do what you want with your money, like whatever makes you happy. Like you like golf, right? Mm-hmm. I bet you got a kick-ass golf set, right? Like
no. Nice would clubs. You like to see my shitty ass golf set?
Okay, so you got a shitty ass golf.
No, I'm proud of my shit. Hang on, there's a story, but I'll go get it. Hang on for a second.
Grab them. I'll sit here and entertain people while you do that. So as Aaron goes and gets his golf clubs. My theory is that everybody's got a vice, and you should probably fill that. Okay, here we go. So bust out the shittiest club there. Let's see what you got. Because I know absolutely nothing about golfing.
It's.
I just know that I hate it.
If you try too hard, you take it too seriously, you're gonna hate it. So I'll show you here. These are my golf clubs, and these are not they originally were not my golf clubs. These are my dad's golf clubs.
Okay.
And they're older than me. He had them in the 70s, and they're Spalding, the autograph series. I tried looking it up. There's no record of these things ever being made.
Right.
He was cheap as hell, so I'm sure these are, probably at Kmart, if you can remember that. And yeah, I got them for free. And then my bag was made by Goodwill. And so I got that bag, I think, for I don't know, $20.
Well, Aaron, you're a frugal man when it comes to money, and I don't see anything wrong with that, right?
Right.
But if you have the means, like I say, I mean, if you got $1 million and you spend 50 grand on a car, mm-hmm. you're not being too stupid. I mean, that 50 grand will be worth like 25 in 4 years, obviously.
Right.
So it's not going to do a whole hell of a lot for you. I mean, you can put that 50 grand a better use somewhere else for sure. But at the end of the day, if you like cars and it fills your cup and you get excited and it's one of those things that you enjoy, I just know that I'm going to be dead at some point in my life and I want to enjoy it. And I can't take the money with me, so why not blow it on shit that makes me happy? That's
Right.
just my take on it. So that's that's what I'm telling guys to do. I mean, do what makes you happy. Do what fills your cup. Make yourself your own mental point of origin. You like cars, do cars. You like guitars, buy guitars. You like boats, do boats. You know, whatever it is that works for you. But just don't blow it all on one thing so that you're all in on four wheels and some tires because you think it's going to make you important or impressive with ladies. I said that earlier. You know, nice cars don't get girls. A woman literally cannot tell the difference between a $35,000 entry level BMW and a $180,000 fully loaded M6. They're just not going to be able to tell the difference. Car guys know the difference, but girls will just be like, "Ooh, look, it has a BMW roundel. He must be rich. I like him. Let's go out."
Right. What I pursue, the hobby of mine, is actually freedom. Is where I don't have to work. I don't have to make that much money. So my tastes are cheap. I'll spend some money on some food, but my main concern was the kid who makes $30,000 a year signs up for, what was it, an APR of 25%, and, pays more in rent. I'm sorry, more for his car than he does rent. You're saying as long as you have the money and you can afford it, which is actually quite affordable nowadays, you can find used. I'm surprised. That's the one that you can get used Lamborghinis for 75,000. And because Volkswagen has made these more affordable to the people, and the maintenance costs, remember that was prohibitive back in the day. You're saying this is within the grasp and the reach of people if this is what makes them happy and they can afford it.
Yeah. It's totally within the scope. I mean, just go make the money and buy cool shit.
I still think you should get a single a 2000 aught vehicle. I would just love to see you have just as a challenge to see if you could have that for a month and just drive it around. Like, you should totally get your brother's car just to see if you might actually enjoy it. It gets dinged up, you don't care. You could smoke cigars in it.
It actually drives really nice for a car with that many kilometers, but it's a manual, and I don't feel like rowing gears all day long when I want to get around.
Well, they make them in automatic too. So.
Well, I can't take it to the Honda dealership and say, "Hey, can you rip this stick out in this third pedal and make it an automatic for me?"
No, I'm saying you could find a used Honda Civic with 300,000 kilometers on it. I think that everybody should have that piece of junk car somewhere.
That's like saying, you know what? Stop working out, eat donuts every day, and McDonald's, and get fat. Completely changed.
Totally not the same. That, like, if you traded all your other vehicles in, and then all you had was the shitty Honda, okay, that would be analogous. But if it's like, well, look, your daughter's going to have to learn how to drive car sometime, right? Do you want her driving Rachel around, or whatever Rachel's replacement is going to be?
She'll probably get a 5-year, 6-year-old Honda Civic or Kia or something like that to learn how to drive. I mean, women don't take care of cars. If you ever see a woman's car, the inside looks like shit. The outside, the bumper's all banged up because she backed into something.
Right.
She's not getting a new car. I'm not buying her a new car. Fuck
yeah, you might as well start now and just kind of, hey, sweetheart, get used to this. I'll lend you my Kia Rio. If you want, I'll lend it to you. You guys can beat the hell out of that all you want.
Is that your daily driver? A Kia
No, Rio? I won't tell you what. Hang on. I'll tell you what my other day. I'll tell you what I got here in inventory of the chat. All right. So the daily driver is this. Yeah, that's how you spell that.
Okay.
And then I got my truck, which I don't care if people know. Then in the Southern Command, I have this, which this is the luxury car. I spent $6,000 on this, but it was a hail damage car, so I got it for dirt cheap.
Oh, so it's got some dents in it. Okay.
Yeah, it's got dents. Yeah, no, I'm all like transportation. Well, the other thing is I also do a lot of like, I'm going to take this to the mountains. I'm going to take this on a dirt trail. I'm going to take this out here. And it really, and then I go tornado chasing and there's hail and, maybe a tornado hits you. But my cars really are like, I got that one nice one that I kind of will take out on sunny days. But the rest, obviously, as you can see, are like, yeah, you're hauling my ass around. We're throwing groceries in. And
you've got quite the car collection, though. Like, you've got 1, 2, 3, plus the truck, 4, and a bike.
Two bikes.
2 bikes.
Yep. I can fly to Vegas.
Hang on a second. I thought that you were frugal Aaron.
Hang on. Let me think. Hang on.
Now,
all the vehicles. Let me add up all the vehicles.
If we're being honest, I would say the value of all these vehicles is probably 20 grand, right? 25 grand with that newer one that you
Yeah,
got as a daily
yeah,
driver.
but that's damaged. We only paid 4 for that. 6
So
we're at
now
10. Yeah,
you're
25
doing
grand.
6 oil changes every year. You got sets of
No,
tires and all of them.
you can't drive them all at the same time.
You can't, but you can't have the oil and the fluid sitting in there rotting inside the
No,
vehicle.
that's why I fly out and turn them over, and they get used. The batteries are charged. The oil gets changed. I've been doing
Okay.
this for like 20 years, and
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
um, the insurance is the same because they're all liability only.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so they say, well, it doesn't matter. You know, you're driving one piece of crap car or another. It's all the same. We're covering you and you're driving, not the number of vehicles you own. So
Right.
the insurance it doesn't change. The oil changes are not that common because we don't drive them all the time. The maintenance is real easy on these because they have none of the fancy. Because a lot of times I can do it myself. But what was the other thing? There was one other main. I forget what it was, but it works out. Oh, that was the thing is I could just fly there. And I don't have to rent a vehicle. I
Yeah.
got a motorcycle and a car, no matter pretty much where I go in the United States. And it actually does end up saving you money in the long run because we don't need a car for like the next 10 years.
What do? You just throw them on a trickle charger and just let them sit while you're not around?
Well, let me tell you another great thing about me being cheap. I always get standard transmission in part because you can always push start them if you
Right.
need to. And
Yeah.
so I learned that in college, and I'd always park on a hill so I could kickstart my old Ford Escort. But no, if you have to worry about that in Vegas because the heat will kill a battery, but then you just go get a new battery. Replace the battery on the motorcycle last time I was out there because the battery was old. But that's standard maintenance that you can. I guess you could take it out, put it in the fridge if you want to maintain the battery. But
Okay.
a lot of times they'll go dead, but they won't die. You just have to recharge them.
Well, I didn't know the older brother had such a car collection.
No.
You're practically a car guy.
Here's another thing: no one's going to steal these cars.
You're
No
right
one's
about
going
that.
after them.
Yeah.
All right. Well, any parting advice then for the guys out there or the gals when with the luxury cars or sports cars?
All right, let's hit on the guys first before we get to the gals, and then we'll deal with like the 2% of your audience that
Okay, the
watches this
2%, right?
that doesn't have a Johnson between their leg. The guys, I would just say, make sure you're not blowing everything you got on a car to impress girls, because girls really don't care. It really impresses guys more than anything. Women are looking for just cues that you're competent enough, and whether you're driving, I mean, if you're driving a rusted ass 30-year-old Honda, that's not really going to do much for them. But I got friends that drive like 7-year-old Honda Civics, like basic entry level Honda Civics, and they do great with women, and they're entrepreneurs. They're just not, they're like frugal Uncle Aaron here, right? You know, the older brother.
Right.
And if you're going to buy a car, spend less than 5% of your total net worth on the vehicle, because it's a depreciating asset. It's really not going to do anything for you. As far as ladies go, don't back into shit, mess up your cars and leave them filthy inside. There's not a lot of women that have decently clean cars. So that's my parting advice.
No, I know. There was a couple gals, they were using it as storage for clothes. And I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what? I mean, it's just and if they had cats, oh God, those would be one daters and like, see ya, bye.
Yeah. Yeah. They got like an entire storage facility in their vehicle, and the only place that's clean is where they sit.
Yeah. We got a couple super chat donations. You mind fielding a couple of these? If you're here, you got to get going.
Yeah, I got 15 minutes. Go
Okay,
ahead.
let's bang these out real quick because I don't want to like jip people their money. Darius Thurman, $2. Zoom is like Skype, but ID numbers, not a phone call. Chris Puckett just donated $1.99. Then he donated $10 again. Should I dump my long-term girlfriend? Just launched my business, went back to her after we broke up, zapping all my time and energy that's needed for my business. Too much drama. Not sure it's worth it. Yeah, it sounds like she's costing you energy, not giving you energy. I mean, with this short little information he's given us.
Fire her immediately.
Yep.
Anything that gets between you and your vision, get rid of it.
No. I always get a kick out of it. Like, this is miserable. It's horrible. It's pain. It's getting in my way.
Should I keep her, Aaron? Should I keep her?
I got a dog, keeps biting me, giving me rabies, pisses all over the place. I get really angry, but I love it. Should I keep it or what?
I had this I had this retreat once, and the guy that facilitated it called this the retarded dog syndrome. You know, you come home and the dog got in the fridge and ate the margarine and shit all over the house and destroyed everything and ate the corner out of the mattress of your bed. This is a retarded dog. You need to put it to sleep.
Yeah, but did he say no? I can't do that.
Put it to sleep. Just get rid of it.
No. Athmel Decua, would Cooper drive a new Beetle around for a month?
I sat in a Beetle once, and I was astonished at the amount of headroom, but I would never drive one of those cars. It is probably the gayest thing on the road.
They stopped making them, right?
No, they still make them. They've kind of modernized them and lowered the roofline a little bit so it doesn't look as dorky. But whenever I see a guy driving a Beetle or a Miata, the dude has handed out his man card a long time ago.
Mini Cooper?
Coopers are kind of cool when you get into the John Cooper works. You know, the GP cars. They're fun little hot hatches. I drove one on the racetrack. A lot of fun.
Okay. I remember renting a Fiat in Europe and driving in Europe, which I'll never do again. I will never drive in. I will just pay the man his euros to drive me in the bus to wherever it is all the tourists go. But I was surprised how much oomph that little Fiat had. And it was standard transmission. That was the other thing. They asked me, do you know how to drive standard transmission? I'm like, yeah. And they were surprised an American knew how to
American knows how to drive standard. Wow.
Yeah. It's
and he's not fat either.
No, God.
What planet did this man come from?
Rich, don't get me started. That's the other. On top of my day of anger, it was just fat people all around, man. Like you gotta train your eyes to see it again because we've been boiled up slowly like the frog. But just stop and take a look at, and I'm gonna assume Canada's the same. And you look like, why is everyone fat? Why are people disgusting?
It's a lot harder to eat healthy food than it is to eat crap. It's a lot easier and cheaper to eat crap. Is what the problem is.
Is it though? You just gotta make it at home. Usually, that's kind of what I've been doing. Or
you and I understand this concept. There's people that don't understand this though.
Apparently, it's 85% of the population. Ray Jean, he's a buddy of yours up in Canada. He says, Aaron, who's this sexy guest? And I don't even know if he knows. Like everybody should know. I'm hoping he knows, but this is Rich Cooper. You can find him at Entrepreneurs in Cars on YouTube. It was, what did you start out? Originally, it was a car entrepreneurship in cars, and you had your sports cars, and then you kind of morphed into the older brother giving off fatherly wisdom type of.
Yeah, I started by interviewing my friends in their success rides because I've always been a car guy, but I ran out of friends with cool cars pretty fast. So after about 5 or 6 rounds of that, I just started doing talking head videos, and it turned into what it is today. Just unfucking men's lives, basically.
Amazing how that happened accidentally.
Yeah.
I had no idea. If you talked to me 10 years ago, hey, you're going to be this thing. It'll be like TV, but no, it'll be on the internet. I'm like, yeah, get the fuck out of here.
People will be paying you money to ask you for your opinion on dumb things that they're doing.
No. Speaking of dumb people, a regular listener, Bacon Maldito for 223, he runs a podcast at thegoddamnbacon.com. Cooper, what kind of sports truck will get the girls? Are you familiar with the inside joke of how do I get the girls?
No, what is it?
I got enough requests at Asshole Consulting where it's these wimpy, not going to go to the gym, not going to diet. They don't want to put in the work. We've had this conversation before about, they want the pill or the cheat codes and all that. And I think I got, how do I get girls as for the 6th time as a question? And I just wrote this scathing blog post ripping people apart who asked that question because they damn well know how to get the girls. They're not willing to put forward the effort. They're looking for a formula or an algorithm so they don't have to put forth the effort. They're cowards and they're afraid of the rejection that is bound to come with the pursuit of women. And basically, I told them to fuck off. And now anytime
Never
I
ask me that question again.
Yeah, well, no. And now if someone ever does ask me that question again, I charge them $50 and I just go read my post.
You should charge them more.
I probably will. We've talked about I know you think I should charge more.
You're asking me dumb questions. I'm gonna have to charge you more for dumb questions.
I do
a premium for those.
I do, but I have I've achieved Zen. See, again, I took my serenity pill. I'm trying to achieve calmness. And now I've already yelled and I'm going to screw that person back over by telling what I've told several people before. And I'm merely going to read an article and not get agitated and still take his money. So if I can Just calm down. And besides, if you make it too high, maybe they're not going to pay. But maybe I should experiment with my pricing a little bit for answers that are easily fucking available on the internet. Like, how do I get the girls? You don't know any guys that talk about this at length who happen to have Italian names and live in the Sierra Nevadas?
No.
Set snowmobiles on fire. Anyway, so that's what Bacon. They always joke around. How do I get the girls?
Yeah.
Juan Cabrera asks, "What do you guys think about the new Corvette?" I don't know. I haven't seen the new Corvette.
So the new Corvette is a mid-engine Corvette. They basically took a Ferrari and a Camaro and they put it in the stable and they let them bang each other, and that was the bastard offspring of that love child. So it's actually pretty cool. It's supposed to start at 59 grand. 495 horsepower, I believe they said, and 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds. So it's going to be very fast, and there's going to be quicker ones coming on down the road, like the Z06 and the ZR1. Just go to Google and type in, I think it's a C8 Corvette. So type in C8.
Let me take a look. C8 Corvette.
2020 C8 Corvette, and it should pop up some pictures.
2020. Let's take a look here.
If you take a look at it, you tell me if yeah.
That you are right. It does look like a Camaro and a Ferrari banked.
Yeah.
What when you say mid-engine, does that mean it's in the back or in the middle?
In the middle. Yeah. So there's 3 engine configurations with these types of cars. You got front engine, mid-engine, and rear engine. So rear engine's a 911. They got the engine in the back like a Beetle, which in my opinion is still a stupid design. Mid-engine's kind of like more of the exotic car design where it's better balanced, and front engine was what Corvette and Vipers have always been for the longest time.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it does. It's I'm not a big fan of the Camaro, its design, and certainly not its ass. And this Corvette has the Camaro's ass. I really don't. Yeah. Otherwise, it looks pretty slick.
Yeah.
I've always liked.
They'll sell a crap load of them.
Yeah. No, they will. They will. God, now the super chats are coming in. Stop Dre 360 for $4.99. Morning, gentlemen. Anytime I get annoyed with dumb or fat people, I think of your toughest life question video, and it keeps me mellow and zen. Oh, cool. Thanks, Nonstop Dre. Rajan, $5 Canadian. I got myself in a really bad situation. I got a lease to rent a sports car and had a lady did cocaine, and the cops pulled me over, bailed me out. He's joking. And that's it for super chats. So cool.
There you have it.
Well, Rich, tell everyone where they can find you. What handful of people don't know you in my community, but if anyone new is tuning in or they happen to be researching, owning a sports car as a young man, where can people find you and tell them what you do?
So I'm the older Canadian brother, sometimes known as a father. I'm a little bit older than Aaron.
What, 2 or 3 years older than me, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just do videos on YouTube's. Just over 200,000 subs, just past that line in the sand. It's been fun. I just talk about stuff that matters to men, that helps them not make stupid choices in their lives, and hopefully they'll listen to it and apply it so they don't fuck it up. I have a private men's community, which you'll find all the information on my website or the YouTube channel. So just go check it out if you want to hang out and see some cool shit around stuff that maybe Uncle Aaron doesn't talk about, like fast cars.
Yeah, and Raptors. How's your book coming along?
I'm going on vacation for a couple weeks, leaving in 2 days. So I'll be working. Well, it's in Mexico. It's hot as fuck in the summertime. Mm-hmm. So my plan is when the sun's high and hot for a couple hours, get out of it, go inside the AC, and just clean up the chapters. I've pretty much written all the chapters. I just have to clean up the the final pieces, and hopefully we'll have it out for the fall.
All right, so this isn't like a Brian the Dog for Family Guy. You're coming down we're in the 7th inning stretch.
I'm coming out with something that's all encompassing. It's like I've got a chapter in there on why every guy should own a motorcycle. I got chapters in there about vetting women. I got chapters in there on self-care and making money. So it's kind of like your bachelor pad economics, but
adjusted for Canadian dollars.
Well, not adjusted for Canadian dollars, but like adjusted for the guy that would have liked to have had these conversations with their father that probably didn't sit them down and have these proper kind of conversations with them. The father that they never had, basically.
Right. What now you're going to do audiobook? Because I won't lie to you, I hate reading.
Yeah, I got to read it.
You're going to read it. You're going to audio it.
I'm in
Oh,
audio.
dude, I'll totally tune in. Not that it would, but that's, yeah, you got a good voice. You could, have you recorded stuff? I know you've recorded YouTube, but have you done narration before?
I'm sure I can pull it off. I got a
Okay.
face for audio, right? I can do good audio.
Well, that's great. No, let me know when that comes out. I'll buy it and then I'll go hit the links and listen. Um, and yeah, totally review the book for you. So
Yeah, let's get together when I release it, and I'll tell you what's all in it.
cool. Wonderful. All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show, Rich. And everybody, thanks for tuning in. And this is the last Google Hangout. I'll update you guys when we do more live broadcasts once we get a new platform. But it's going to be at least 2 weeks. Otherwise, if you want to tune into the Older Brother podcast and the Clary podcast, I will be doing MP3 recordings as we did in the olden days and simply uploading them on SoundCloud. And of course, I will post those on captaincapitalism.blogspot.com. We will see you guys later. Toodles.